So today we will be understanding willpower. Here it says the power of willpower, strategies to unleash willpower resources. So basically we will understand the strategies to unleash power of willpower resources. Okay. It is by Tom Karp, Lars Mortensen, Legreid, Helen Tronston Moo, professor at Market Shaw Colon, lecturer at Emergence School of Leadership, and Helen Tronstedt Moy, or whoever it is, received at 14.3.14, accepted at 6.12.14. It took quite a few months, obviously, to accept it, 9 months, and published on 2012, and it was published within 14 days. We go on to read the abstract. The importance of willpower is a capability that enables a person to maintain his or her resolution when encountering some form of resistance is well established. So willpower is certainly important when encountering some form of resistance, and it is no doubt that willpower is important. However, less is known about the development aspect of willpower. How is it developed, and if it is possible to train and mobilize willpower resources to improve capabilities to deal with challenges, and is it possible to train and mobilize willpower resources? Can we collectivize and use willpower according to our own will to improve capabilities to deal with challenges? The authors initiated three studies to find answers to these questions. So there were three studies that were initiated to find answers to these questions. In one study, willpower strength was measured and analyzed over a large population. So willpower strength was measured and analyzed over a large populace. In the second study, methods for mobilizing willpower were researched, and in a third study, so methods for mobilizing willpower were researched. So there are uh, three studies that were done. Three studies were done, were performed. Yes, the three studies were performed. What are they? The first is, in one study, willpower strength was measured and analyzed over a large population. Okay, so in first study, what they did was, they basically willpower strength was measured and analyzed over a large populace. Okay, in second study, what they did was, methods for mobilizing willpower were researched. Methods. What are the methods for mobilizing willpower? So first they go to understand willpower strength was measured and analyzed over large populace. So willpower strength. What is the willpower strength that is of a large populace? They studied about it. Then they researched or studied about methods for mobilizing willpower. And in the third study, such methods were tested. So third study, what they did was, they tested these findings, their ideas, whether they are right or wrong. The findings are not conclusive, but results are promising. Findings are not conclusive. Highlight it. Findings are not conclusive. They indicate that willpower is trainable, and that it is possible to apply methods to unleash willpower resources more effectively. Willpower is trainable. Willpower is trainable. Yes, willpower is trainable, certainly. Willpower is trainable. And that it is possible to apply methods to unleash willpower resources more effectively. It is possible to apply methods to unleash willpower resources more effectively. You can unleash your willpower resource more effectively. In the article, we suggest strategies and tactics for such mobilization of willpower resources. Findings also support the theory that development of willpower in one domain may strengthen overall willpower capacity. Development of willpower in one domain may strengthen willpower capabilities. Very true. Very true. Keywords are these. Okay. So, as we start, human beings have the capacity to override their impulses and alter their inner states, influence their thoughts, and in other ways change the course of their behavior, have a capacity to override their impulses. Okay, alter their inner states. So, what is their inner state? They can alter it, influence their thoughts, influence your own thoughts, and in other ways, change the course of their behavior and hence change the course of the behavior of your thought or your own behavior. This ability is the domain of willpower. This is the domain of willpower, which is regarded as an important. So, basically, they are talking about the human ability to override impulses, consciousness, or what can we say? Let's try it. Self-regulation. So basically, this ability is the domain of willpower. Self-regulation is the domain of willpower. Alter their inner states, influence their thoughts, and in other ways. So we can say self-regulation is the domain of willpower. Okay. As we go on, we read that it says, which is regarded as an important key to success in life. It is regarded as an important key to success in life and one of the most distinctive human capabilities. Important key to success in life में it is an important key to success. Most distinctive human capabilities willpower. Research has demonstrated that individuals may use willpower to improve their regulatory capabilities. Now we don't know what is regulatory capabilities. Individuals' ability to control, manage, and direct their thoughts and emotions in alignment with goals, social norms, or personal standards. Self-control, emotional regulation, cognitive control, behavioral regulation. Such findings, research and demonstrate that individuals may use willpower to improve their regulatory capabilities. Okay. Such findings have led to the argument that there are ways in which the strength of willpower could be improved. Okay. And it has been proposed that such improvement is consistent with how muscular strength is increased. Research thus indicates that willpower is trainable and that the use of certain methods will enhance willpower capabilities. Have to extend these findings in a series of studies and experiments that involved surveys, interviews, and with top performers, as well as a willpower challenge for students over the course of a semester. So the research question we asked were, is willpower trainable, and if so, what methods may a person deploy in order to better mobilize and enhance his or her use of willpower? Is willpower trainable? So they already answered it. Yes, it is trainable. And if so, what methods may a person deploy? What are the methods that one should deploy in order to better mobilize and enhance his or her use of willpower? Okay, theoretical background introduction. The study of willpower has a long tradition within philosophy. Nietzsche believed that will was the main driving force in a human being, the striving to reach the highest possible construction of oneself, the striving to reach the highest possible. While Nietzsche understood will as internally motivated action, Schopenhauer stated that when people became conscious of themselves, they realized that their essential qualities are endless urging, craving, striving, wanting, and desiring. These, he said, are characteristics of people's will, and according to him, will is the innermost essence, the kernel of every particular thing, and also of the whole. Schopenhauer connects the will to evil, relating it, as Freud did in his later work, with the ability for the human being to deal with him or herself as being lazy, giving up, or letting things pass. Hmm. Let us clear this thing. How can Schopenhauer? Why did Schopenhauer said that? Uh, When people become conscious of themselves, they realize that their essential qualities are endless urging, craving, striving, wanting, and desiring. These, he said, are characteristics of people's will, and according to him, will is the innermost essence, the kernel of every particular thing, and also of the whole. Schopenhauer connects the will to evil. I knew it. I'll miss it. Pessimistic view of human nature and existence, which he developed in his philosophy of the will. Here's how he makes the comment. The will is blind and irrational. So Fanon argues the world as will and representation, that the fundamental essence of reality is the will, a blind, insatiable, and irrational force that drives all beings to strive endlessly without ultimate fulfillment. Thus, this will is not guided by reason or morality, but by raw instinctual desires. No, the will causes suffering because this will is always striving. It creates endless suffering. Humans and animals are constantly driven by needs, desires, and competition. He sees this there will because it leads to conflict, exploitation, and misery. Egoism as the basis of evil. Schopenhauer argues that evil arises from egoism, the selfish pursuit of one's own desires at the expense of others. The selfish pursuit of one's own desires at the expense of others. Since the will is inherently self-serving, people act cruelly, exploit others. This is again a very bland idea, and cause suffering when they give in to their desires. He even claims that the worst forms of evil, such as cruelty, oppression, and violence, come from an unchecked will, and greatness also comes from will. Because without will, there is no greatness. How will you become great without if you don't want to? Despite this dark view, Schopenhauer believes that the only way to overcome the will's evil tendencies is through compassion. When people recognize the suffering of others as their own, they weaken the will's selfish pull and act morally. Schopenhauer doesn't say that will is in a moralistic sense, but he connects its suffering, selfish and destruction, which leads to what we recognize as evil. His philosophy suggests that life itself, driven by insatiable will, is inherently filled with struggle and harm, and overcoming this requires renouncing selfish desires through compassion and asceticism. Okay, I understand. Schopenhauer's view of the will was later influenced Freud, particularly in the concept of the tribe. Like Freud, Schopenhauer says that humans struggle internally with their will, which can manifest not only as aggression and selfishness but also as passivity and laziness or resignation, giving up or letting things pass rather than actively resisting the will's demands. Schopenhauer sees human nature as dominated by an irrational force that leads to moral failure. Overcoming this requires awareness and ideally renouncing the will's demand. Okay, this detachment. Okay, the concept of willpower. More recent definitions are that the will is a mental activity that is under an agent's direct voluntary control and is independent of his or her mere desires or dispositions, beliefs, basically, inherent qualities of minds and character. Genetics, inherited trait will influence temperament and personality. Neurobiology, neurobiology, brain structures and neurotransmitters affect emotional reactivity and behavior. Physiological factors, hormonal balance plays a role in how people react to situations. Psychological basis, temperament. Innate emotional and behavioral tendencies present from infancy. So innate emotional and behavioral tendencies present from infancy. Also, psychological basis. Innate emotional and behavioral tendencies. Cognitive patterns, thought patterns, problem solving styles, and interpretation of experiences shape disposition. Interpretation of experiences, thought processes, problem solving styles, innate emotional behavioral and emotional and behavioral tendencies. Personality disposition is often linked to stable traits. Extraversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. What is extraversion? Okay. Early life experience, parenting style, detachment, and early social interaction influence disposition. Cultural and social influences, norms, values, and peer interactions shape behavioral tendencies. Norms, values, peer interactions. Situational factors like life events, education, experiences continuously modify disposition over time. Life events, education, and experiences continuously modify. Disposition is shaped by a dynamic interplay between nature and nurture. Okay, nature and nurture, resulting in consistent behavior. Okay. Basis of disposition is biological basis, psychological basis, environmental and social basis. Okay. More recent definitions are that the will is a mental activity that is under an agent's voluntary control and it is independent of his or her mere desires or disposition. The power of will or willpower is the mediating executive capacity that bridges the gaps between an agent's thoughts and actions. Who is an agent? Agent is a person, okay. And the faculty that enables one to maintain that resolution to bridge these gaps. And the faculty that enables one to maintain that resolution to bridge these gaps. Okay. Bridges the gap between thoughts and actions. And the faculty that enables one to maintain that resolution to bridge these gaps. Okay. According to Holton, a person actively employs willpower in circumstances in which they struggle. A person actively employs willpower in cases where one encounters some form of resistance from one's inclination or desires. In cases where one encounters some form of resistance from one's inclinations or desires. Okay, so this actively employs willpower in circumstances in which they struggle. And why do they struggle? They struggle because of cognitive dissonance, because they want something else, not really cognitive dissonance. Rather, they know that something is wrong, or they know that don't want to pursue something, but they still pursue it. in cases where one encounters some form of resistance from one's inclination or desires. Where one encounters some form of resistance. What is this resistance? This resistance is the sense of righteousness, is the sense of moral and ethical obligation from one's inclinations or desires. Then what is the driving force of desire? If the driving force of righteousness is made to be will, is forced to be will, then what is the driving force of desire? The driving force of desire is the demand of pleasure from the desired object, from something that was desired. Philosophical opinions also holds that willpower warrants no special attention. Warrants. Because it adds nothing beyond what can be said using notions like the strength of desire and intention. Can diffuse resistance of desires of the foundation of it. Some thinkers believe that all human action can be explained simply by the strength of desires and the formation of intentions. For example, if someone resists eating a piece of cake, one could say their desire to stay healthy or their intention to diet is stronger than their desire for the cake. From this point of view, willpower doesn't add anything new. Okay. From this view, willpower doesn't add anything new. Other philosophers and psychologists argue that willpower is a unique mental faculty, so it is a unique separate from mere desire. Willpower is a unique mental faculty separate from mere desire. They claim that self-control requires effort and is not just about having stronger competing desires. Requires effort. Willpower is a unique mental faculty separate from mere desires. Certainly, it is not just wait a minute. Okay. It is pleasure that you want. Desires are based on pleasure. Research in psychology, Postmeyer's ego depletion theory. What does ego depletion theory say? So what we will do is we'll go here. Say okay. Postmeyer's ego depletion theory. Self-control operates like a muscle, meaning that exerting self-control sufficiently depletes a limited resource. Excessive control in subsequent situations. No, ego depletion theory is wrong. Ego depletion theory is certainly wrong. It cannot be true. Again, research in psychology suggests that willpower is a limited resource that can be exhausted unlike simple desires. Wrong. The debate boils down to willpower is just a way of describing internal conflicts between desires or if it is a real separate ability that plays an active role in decision making. But we dismiss willpower as unnecessary. Some philosophical opinions dismiss willpower as unnecessary, arguing that we can fully explain behavior using desire, strength, and intention alone. Now, again, within psychology, willpower represents an old variable in the study of human action, which can be traced back to the work of James and Ack. Their approaches were concerned with issues of acts of willingness in order to gain insight into the phenomena of willpower and corresponding behaviors such as persistence. Historically, motivation was considered to have two levels. The first is will, which referred to a person's desires, wants, and purposes, together with a belief about whether it is within one's power to satisfy the desires or achieve the goals. The second level is the act of using the will in the form of willpower, which refers to a process for converting intentions into actions. In some cases, the mere saliency of a desire is sufficient to lead more or less automatically to action, but often it is necessary to make a conscious effort, supported by determination or extrinsic requirements, to convert intentions into actions. Research teams, much of motivation theory has focused on understanding the choice of a particular action and the effort expended on it, of a particular action and the efforts expended on it. However, motivation does not provide adequate explanation for what impels people to action and keeps them working persistently to achieve a goal. In particular, when obstacles and distractions arise using processes, motivation support may not be strong enough to tackle challenges. The basic constituent in this discussion is the human capacity to regulate other psychological functions such as emotions, motivations, and cognition in order to reach objectives, especially when obstacles arise. Willpower is thus coordination mechanism regulating processes and systems in a way that optimizes the implementation of intentions. Is thus coordinated mechanism regulating processes and subsystems in a way that optimizes the implementation of intentions. Okay. What is it? Thus, coordinate mechanism regulating processes and subsystems in a way that optimizes the implementation of intentions. Older concepts of will are too global in the sense of a strong or weak will. Newer research has differentiated willpower into several subsystems, meaning that the distributory loci of the regulating processes can be located and developed. These are attention, motivation, emotion, activation, cognition, and behavior. Several notions and theories have been proposed with labels such as willpower, ego strength, with labels willpower, ego strength, action orientation, willpower, okay, ego strength, action orientation, self regulation, self control, self discipline, grit, volition, the faculty of power of using one's will, conation, mental faculty of purpose, desire or will. One distinct line of research is work on volition and corresponding concepts. That this tradition has its roots in research within behavioral learning and cognitive psychology. Volition is commonly understood as a competence and is defined as the ability to maintain focus and effort toward a goal despite potential distractions. Volition and control involves the use of strategies aimed at regulating emotions, motivation, and cognition in the process of goal striving. Theories describe how decreased motivation or negative emotions can be dealt with by applying control strategies. And volition is the mediating factor that energizes the maintenance and enactment of intended actions. And enactment. Okay, so that is it for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.